I could say third time's a charm, but this is my fourth time trying to do this video. Alrighty, this is the protective covering, the first lecture of chapter 8. Right here, you're going to see all these, you're going to see all these words right here. I should see these in your note cards. If you do the terms, you should easily be able to hit the 75 note cards that you need to get your full credit. Alrighty? And you should be starting with the first lecture, making your note cards so you don't get behind, so you can be looking at your note cards and your notes 3 times a night. Alrighty? Now we're going to be talking about the integumentary system. It is a system that's made up of the skin, the hair, the nails, and other associated glands. It's the most exposed system. All right. It has several vital functions of it. That would be a good question for your note cards. What are the functions of the integumentary system? Well, it protects from pathogens, right? It covers your body. If you have a cut, then it can get in, but it protects from outside pathogens. It balances your fluid levels. If your body gets too hot, you sweat. If your body gets too cold, it shivers, right? You get the goosebumps. Goosebumps are your rector pili contracting. It stores fatty tissues for energy supply. You know that. Look around. It produces vitamin D with the help of the sun. And it provides sensory input. If something's too hot and we touch it, then our hand jerks away, right? It tells us, ow, or it tells us that feels good. Okay, and it helps to regulate the body temperature, all right? Again, with the shivering and the sweating. All right. Don't see where I am. The skin is the largest organ. It weighs about 20 pounds and covers an area about 20.83 square feet on an adult. So if you were to take the skin and take it off your body and stretch it out, I believe they'll tell you it would cover, it makes a nice area rug. It's kind of gross when you think about it, but that's what I had heard, that it would make a nice size area rug, not the human, you know, it's comparing it to. If you take a cross section of the skin, you're going to have 3 layers. You're going to have an epidermis, a dermis, and a subcutaneous fascia, the fat layer. Alrighty. And you can see that down here is our fat, right? And here we have our dermis. And then here we have our epidermis. Remember, epi means above, right? That's what we're going to talk about next. Epidermis is the layer of skin that you see on the outside of your body. Whoa. Oops. I am all over now. Okay. Hence a picture of the skin with the hair coming out of it. All right. It's the layer of skin that you see on the outside, and it has 5 or 6 even smaller layers of tissue. Okay. There's no blood vessels or nerve endings in that layer. There's none. Okay. And because there's no blood vessels or nerve endings in that layer, we call it avascular. Okay. I mean, you know that if you gnaw at your skin around the cuticles and that, I mean, well, sometimes it bleeds if you gnaw too much, but pretty much, I mean, you know what I mean. Cells on the surface are constantly shredding. They're being replaced with new cells that grow and arise from a deeper region called the stratum basal every 2 to 4 weeks. Okay. Someone just went out on work experience and they had a patient with cellulitis. Yeah, and I bet you've seen a lot of flaky dead skin coming off of that patient. Okay. Every 2 to 4 weeks, your skin is being shredded and it's being replaced. Okay. Cells are born in the basal area, okay, the basal layer. And not only is it stratum basal, but we can call it stratum germinativum, if I'm pronouncing that right. Okay. Once again, the outer layer, this whole layer right here, okay, this outer layer is a layer of dead cells, and we call that stratum corneum. Okay, they're flat, they're scaly. You can see that they're flat and they're scaly. They're keratinized epithelial cells. Your book was saying how you slough off about 500 million cells every day, or about 1.5 pounds of dead skin a year. And I bet you that cellulitis patient you've seen had a lot of flaky skin. Okay. 1.5 pounds of dead skin a year. Yes, do you want to be on my lecture? I'm videotaping my lecture now. Say hello.
Hello. I just wondering what time you're going to be home tomorrow.
Late.
Because I have to print off my paper off of Google Drive, and I need to do that like tomorrow night.
I'll be home.
Okay.
Melanocytes. Melanocytes, they are located in your epidermis, and they're responsible for skin color. Okay, hence you see the beautiful people right here. Okay, melanocytes produce or make up melanin. Melanin is what actually affects the color of your skin. Everybody is born with the same number of melanocytes. Okay, the reason why there's different colors or different variations of skin is because the amount of melanin that is being made, okay, because it's due to the amount of melanin that's being made, or even how it's distributed. You can have patches of melanin in your skin which form freckles. Okay, I love freckles. Next you have keratin. Keratin is another form of pigment, and it gives a yellowish hue to the skin. This is what you see right here, a yellowish hue to the skin. When Luke was a baby, he loved carrots and sweet potatoes, and that's all I would feed him because that's what he ate. And he became so orange. I wish I could find the picture, and then I could show you how orange he was. Albinism is what you see down here, is when there's very little pigment in the skin, the hair, or the nails. Okay? And it's due to, that's what the DT is right here, it's due to an inherited gene that doesn't allow your body to produce the usual amount of melanin that's in your skin. So you're pale. Okay? A lot of these times they have visual problems, and of course because there's no melanin in the skin, they're at a greater risk of skin cancer. Okay, they usually have a lot of visual problems. If you were to go on YouTube and look, you would see eyes. You would see some eyes that are very unusual. Some are crossed. Some people have really thick glasses. Other people, their eyes are just unusual. The pathology connection, the skin color, and the diseases. Skin color is very important. When you go and you do an assessment, you always want to look at your patient's skin. You want to touch it. You want to make sure it's dry. You want to make sure it's intact. You want to check the skin turgor. We get into that a little bit later in here, and I'll come back to that. But you want to check out the color of the mucous membranes. Last year, you guys learned about cyanosis and the blue around the mucous membranes, right? You'd be blue around here. You'd be blue in your fingernail beds. If you were to pull your lip down, you'd be blue down in there in your mucous membranes. You get that cyanotic color, and it's usually due to a lack of oxygen. Yellow skin, which you see right here, is usually associated with liver disease, alcoholics, hepatitis. Okay, the body can't break down bilirubin, so it builds up in your blood. Okay, and it gives it the skin color of yellow. I have seen patients with liver failure so bad. These eyes right here are nothing compared to what I see. You could shut off the light and they glow in the dark. Okay, and that yellowish color that you see in here, they say you can see it in the white of their eyes. You can say they're jaundice. Another term for it that's not in your book, but I'm going to look to see if it's in your notes, is icteric. Icteric. Okay, that's another term that you can use. Sometimes people have a bronze color because of an adrenal disease, and you guys learned about this last year with Mrs. Hill and myself. Addison's disease, right? President Kennedy had Addison's disease, and they have this bronze color about them, okay? Because they have malfunctioning adrenal glands, and their body produces a lot of melanin. And then down here we have bruised skin. That's a big bruise. We call it ecchymosis or ecchymotic, okay? Sometimes when you have ecchymotic skin, it could indicate a skin problem, right? Or indicate skin or blood or circulatory problem. On elderly people, you see a lot of like red blotches like on their hands, or if they bump themselves or whatever. It's like they have that bruising in their skin. Here you can tell this person fell and twisted their ankle, possibly broke their ankle. Okay. When you have a trauma patient, they can, I'm lecturing. When you have a trauma patient and they're laying in the bed and they're dependent, sometimes in the back by the kidneys, they can get really ecchymotic, and you look for bruising back there. Okay. Next, so we talked about the dermis and what you can see in the dermis. Now we're going to talk, or the epidermis. Now we're going to talk about the dermis. And the dermis is the layer below the epidermis, and it's thicker, and that's where all the capillaries and nerve endings are. Okay. You can see all the stuff. You have I can't pronounce it. Collagenous elastic fibers, involuntary muscles, nerve endings, lymph vessels, hair follicles. See where the hair comes down, hair follicles. We have sudiferous glands, sweat glands, and then sebaceous and oil glands. All the important stuff is in here, right? Your hypodermis is full of fat. Okay, that's your subcutaneous. Okay, so since there's elastic fibers, right, this is where your wrinkling and that is probably going to come in. Okay, your small fingers of tissue project from the surface. Nope, that's wrong. Sorry. This is saying that their small finger-like. Oh my. Am I getting you confused? The small fingers of tissue project from the surface and anchor the layer to the epidermal layer. So that's what it's saying. There's like small finger-like areas around this area that help anchor the epidermis to the dermis. Okay? In the dermis, this is where you're going to see your finger and toe prints come from this layer. This is where your nerve fibers are that are going to allow you to sense what's happening in your environment. Okay? If you're hot, if you touch a hot pan, your hands are going to withdraw. When you're running around playing soccer, and you get all hot and sweaty and you get red in the face, that vasodilation, that's what causes you to get really red and flushed. Okay? Or if a cute guy walks into the room and you start blushing, then that came out wrong because it makes it sound whatever. But when you blush, that's where it's coming from, that vasodilation in that dermal layer. And then, of course, when you get to be my age, you start losing collagen and elastic fibers. The elasticity in your skin starts to wear down. Okay? And your skin can't go back to shape the way it used to. Okay? So when you lose elasticity, you become a wrinkled old mess. Well, you know, she's a beautiful lady right here. But it leads to wrinkles. Okay? And I think your book talked about turgor. I think this is where your book talked about turgor. Like if you were to take the back of your hand, if you can see me, and you pull on it, when you're young, it goes down right away. I think I talked about this last week. And then when you're older, it goes back slower. And you always check the skin turgor on your patients. It can help determine whether a patient's dehydrated or not as well. I think I did talk about that with you guys because I said when you're in church, you grab your mom's hands and then you squeeze it. Poe doesn't do that to his mother. He sleeps in church. Okay. Next we have sodiferous glands. We only have 2 more slides left. Sodiferous glands. There's 2 main types. There's apocrine, I think I'm pronouncing that right, apocrine sweat glands, and eccrine glands. The apocrine sweat glands secrete at the hair follicles in your groin and in your anal region and your armpits. Okay, and when you reach puberty, that's when it becomes active. Okay, your book says that these odors are believed to act as sexual attractants. Eccrine glands are found in your palms of in your hands and your feet, your forehead, and your upper lip, and they help with body temperature. I think those of you who had me last year know that I talked like when my kids took, I think they were like in 6th grade, just before they had their sex ed class or whatever, they talked about putting deodorant on your feet. And it would help if you had sweaty feet. Okay, last slide of the day is that your body has 3 million sweat glands. Okay, and it's not the sweat that makes you stink. Okay, it's the bacteria that's eating off, right? I think it's the bacteria eats off the sweat. Okay, and the chemicals that it gives off gives you the strong smell. Okay, so your body has over 3 million sweat glands, and I have repeated that twice. You can see right here, and you can see right here. Oh, look it, and you can see right here, this is the same as this. Yes. Don't you think my picture's funny? It's funny, because she thinks she's all hot, and she's not. Alrighty, so that's it. If you're listening to this, then you're going to know that you only have one picture for your muscular system test that I'm going to go over, and I believe it's on your what do you call it? Your muscular system study guide. Okay. I would redo this because I know it's not perfect, but I'm tired. It is 6:44 in the evening, and I'm ready for bed, and I have another lecture to do to prepare because I'll be gone all day tomorrow. So you guys behave, and I'll see you tomorrow.